The royal family is boiling with tensions that can no longer be hidden. The rift between Prince Andrew, King Charles, and Prince William has reached a new level, turning what were once family disputes into a full-blown generational war. William, preparing to shoulder the burden of royal legacy, has no intention of tolerating his scandal-prone uncle, whose name has become synonymous with disgrace for the crown. Meanwhile, Charles, who ascended to the throne after decades of fighting for authority, is taking extreme measures to protect the monarchy's reputation, even if it means severing ties with his younger brother for good. Will they be able to find a compromise? Or will this family drama undermine the very foundation of the British monarchy? That's the focus of today's video. Sibling rivalry has long been a defining feature of royal life, and the ongoing feud between the Prince of Wales and the Duke of Sussex is just the latest chapter in a long history of sibling disputes that date back to the reign of Richard I. Managing family relationships can be challenging even in the best of times, but when the family is also a firm with a strict hierarchy of succession, a certain level of dysfunction seems inevitable. The role of the spare has proven to be a serious test for the Duke of York, Prince Andrew, who has strained his relationship with his older brother and become one of the most controversial figures in the British royal family. Charles's relationships with his siblings have never been particularly warm, but it is with Andrew, who has always approached his royal status differently, that the heir has faced the most significant challenges. According to ITV, the Prince of Wales once described his brother as a fizzy drink that's been shaken and then had the cap taken off. For his part, Andrew resents his brother for his vision of reducing the number of working royals on the public payroll. The roots of their feud can be traced back to their childhood. The eldest son of Elizabeth and Philip became first in line to the throne at the age of 3 when his mother ascended to the throne. However, the public treated Andrew, who was much younger, almost as an equal to the Prince of Wales until Charles's marriage and the birth of his heirs. This was largely because, during the 20th century alone, the British throne twice passed to Dukes of York, second sons of reigning monarchs. These were George V and George VI. According to experts, the brothers were united by their love of high society and their shared quest for personal fulfillment, which often led to disappointment. Another obvious similarity lies in their failed marriages, which even fell within the same time frame. Both the Duke of York and the Prince of Wales separated from their spouses in 1992 and finalized their divorces in 1996. As is often the case with an heir and a spare, the brothers faced completely different kinds of pressure, which greatly influenced the social roles they chose. While Charles buckled under the weight of responsibility, Andrew was free to enjoy his privileged position with relative freedom. He cultivated the image of a playboy, both in his youth and even after marrying Sarah Ferguson, and yet, for some reason, the public didn't see this as damaging to the crown's image. However, when the infidelity in his older brother's marriage came to light, Charles was publicly vilified with far greater intensity. It is widely believed that the Duke of York was spoiled by his mother's excessive affection. Andrew is often considered the Queen's favorite child, while Charles has complained throughout his life about the lack of attention from his parents, especially during the early years of Elizabeth's reign, when they were preoccupied with state affairs. Prince Andrew persistently tried to prevent Prince Charles from becoming king, claims the new book Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall, From Outcast to Queen Consort by Angela Levin. Charles and Andrew rarely got along, except for a brief period when they were both married, and Camilla became a clear point of contention within the family. The strained relationship between the current King Charles and Prince Andrew is not unusual. Conflicts between the first and second in line to the throne have been common throughout history. It is said that the brothers have very different personalities, values, and approaches to life, which often led to disagreements and clashing perspectives. Prince Andrew, Queen Elizabeth II's favorite child, was reportedly among those the Queen consulted regarding Charles's marriage to Camilla. An excerpt from Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall, From Outcast to Queen Consort, published by The Telegraph, revealed that a senior royal insider told author Angela Levin that Andrew tried to persuade the Queen to forbid Charles from marrying Camilla. He was described as being quite poisonous, mean, petty, and very unpleasant about Camilla. The same insider added that, during Diana's lifetime, thanks to her friendship with Andrew's wife Sarah, Diana colluded with Andrew to try and sideline Prince Charles, so that Andrew could serve as regent for Prince William, who was still a teenager at the time. This meant Andrew worked hard to block Charles from ascending the throne after their mother's death, aiming instead to help William take the crown. His behavior was described as very, very negative and extremely unpleasant for the Queen, who openly disagreed with him. It was one of the rare occasions when Andrew did not get what he wanted. Jeanette McGowan, a former maid at Buckingham Palace, recalled an incident that seriously strained the relationship between Prince Charles and his younger brother Andrew. The event took place in 1999. Jeanette, who had just arrived at Sandringham for the first time, remembered how the royal family was gathering at the Norfolk estate to celebrate Christmas, as was their tradition. Each royal relative was assigned their own bedroom and private bathroom. However, Prince Andrew, who had arrived earlier than his brother, decided to claim the bathroom originally designated for Prince Charles. By the time Charles arrived, Andrew had already settled in, placing his shaving kit, comb, and other personal items in the bathroom. "We were told not to move or touch anything in that bathroom," Jeanette recalled. When Charles arrived, a major argument broke out. But according to Miss McGowan, Andrew stubbornly refused to vacate the space he had claimed. The brothers could not resolve the conflict over the bathroom, and the Queen herself had to intervene. Queen Elizabeth II managed to persuade Andrew to give up the bathroom to his older brother. Reluctantly and not without resentment, Andrew complied with his mother's request. However, from that moment on, the tension in their relationship became obvious. Andrew behaved like a spoiled child whenever he felt his personal rights were at stake. And this was when he was already 39 years old, Miss McGowan concluded. Jeanette's words about Prince Andrew's difficult character are echoed by another maid, Charlotte Briggs, who worked for the Queen's younger son for 6 months. At the time, Andrew was 36 years old and had recently divorced Sarah Ferguson. He was known for being impulsive and expecting everything to be done for him. Charlotte recalls that the prince once even reduced her to tears over a tiny gap in the curtains. He yelled, "Can't you do anything right?" I remember thinking, this man fought for his country in the Falklands, but he couldn't be bothered to stand up and close his own curtains. It was completely ridiculous but said a lot about who he was, Briggs told The Sun. Among palace staff, Andrew was always considered an eccentric, with an unusual obsession with teddy bears. One maid who worked at Buckingham Palace told The Sun that the prince owned 72 teddy bears dressed in naval uniforms. "It would take me half an hour to arrange them all," she claimed. Then, before bedtime, the bears had to be removed and placed around the room. Each had a specific place. The smaller ones were placed in an unused fireplace, arranged by size to look neat. 2 of Andrew's favorite bears sat on thrones at either side of his bed, and 2 more were on the floor at the foot of the bed. If staff made a mistake and the bears weren't arranged perfectly, Andrew would fly into a rage and yell at them. Rumors about a rift between the brothers began spreading in 2019, when Andrew failed to attend the celebration of Charles's 50th anniversary as Prince of Wales, a record-breaking tenure in British history. Many also noted that Charles's second wife, the Duchess of Cornwall, was absent from the wedding of Andrew's daughter, Princess Eugenie, in 2018. According to insiders, this was due to Andrew's dislike of his older brother's chosen partner, which Camilla was well aware of. Now that Andrew's eldest daughter has also tied the knot, many observed that the Prince of Wales and his wife were notably absent from the event. On the 17th of July, Princess Beatrice and Edoardo Mapelli-Mazzi officially married. Observers had speculated whether the couple had decided to postpone the ceremony to hold a grand celebration, but in reality, they chose to sacrifice the presence of many guests to register their marriage as soon as possible. Additionally, one of the traditional royal wedding venues had to be replaced with the Royal Chapel of All Saints in Royal Lodge, the residence of Prince Andrew, the father of the bride. As a result, the wedding lacked many close friends and relatives of both the bride and groom. However, the Duke and Duchess of York, as well as Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, supported Princess Beatrice on her special day. An official palace statement read, "The private wedding ceremony of Princess Beatrice and Mr. Edoardo Mapelli Mazzi took place at 11 o'clock in the morning on Friday, the 17th of July, at the Royal Chapel of All Saints in Windsor's Royal Lodge. The small ceremony was attended by the Queen, the Duke of Edinburgh, and close family members. The wedding was held in accordance with all relevant government guidelines." The press speculated whether the Duchess of Cornwall was present at the ceremony, as she celebrated her 73rd birthday that day. As many recall, she was absent from Princess Eugenie's wedding. The incident was officially explained as a scheduling conflict due to royal duties, but insiders claimed the real reason was Andrew's long-standing disapproval of Charles's chosen partner. At the same time, royal expert Omid Scobie pointed out that the newlyweds did not share any wedding photos, and the palace also refrained from publishing pictures. According to Scobie, Beatrice and Edoardo did not want to overshadow Captain Tom Moore's visit to Her Majesty, during which the national hero was knighted. And although Beatrice and Edoardo's wedding ceremony, unlike her younger sisters, was very modest, it has already become a symbol of true love worth pursuing despite any obstacles and disappointments. Royal Lodge is one of the oldest and most prestigious estates of the royal family. Since the 17th century, the manor on the Windsor estate has been occupied by the most titled members of the monarchy. Before Andrew, it was home to Princess Margaret and her family. Until 2003, no one expected the divorced Andrew to move there. After all, he is merely the Queen's younger son. But Queen Elizabeth II always treated Andrew differently. The family always knew he was her favorite son. Therefore, after Margaret's death, the house passed to Andrew and his daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie. There were many scandals between Prince Charles and Andrew, but one incident overshadowed all the rest. Andrew befriended American financier Jeffrey Epstein, who created an entire criminal network involved in the exploitation of young girls. Even though Andrew settled the matter with Virginia Giuffre out of court, King Charles III reconsidered the decision regarding Royal Lodge. Giuffre had demanded compensation from Andrew for a relationship she claimed they had. It was a severe blow to the royal family's reputation. At first, Andrew denied all accusations but later agreed to Giuffre's demands to avoid a scandal. However, by then it was too late. In 2019, Andrew made an attempt to prove his innocence by giving an interview to the BBC. He focused on one detail in Giuffre's allegations. She claimed that he had been sweating profusely when they were together. Andrew dismissed this, stating that it was impossible because he had been unable to sweat since the Falklands War. The interview had the opposite effect of what the prince had hoped, drawing the attention of the entire United Kingdom to his misdeeds. Andrew tried to stay out of the spotlight, but it didn't help. In the United States, Virginia Giuffre filed a lawsuit against him. Although the statute of limitations had long since expired, the lawsuit was accepted under a New York law. Andrew's lawyers did their best to fight the case, but nothing worked. The court refused to dismiss Giuffre's civil lawsuit and ordered Andrew to give testimony under oath. To avoid being questioned, the prince agreed to pay Giuffre £12 million, effectively admitting guilt, at least in the eyes of the public. When Andrew agreed to pay the settlement, Queen Elizabeth II summoned him to Windsor Castle. The negotiations, which included Prince William, lasted over an hour. Beforehand, the Queen had discussed the situation with Prince Charles, now King Charles III, who was in the Scottish residence at the time. All members of the royal family supported the need for an immediate resolution. Charles then informed his brother that he would have to step down as a working member of the royal family and vacate his residence. However, Andrew delayed the process, hoping for a shift in the monarch's attitude. Yet, according to insiders, Charles is very determined this time, and Andrew will soon be forced to leave his quarters. The deadline for Andrew's move is just 2 months. Shortly after, Buckingham Palace officially announced that Andrew had been stripped of his titles and military ranks. According to tabloids, the prince was stunned by the decision. He had expected the family to help him pay off Geoffrey, but the opposite happened. According to an informant, Charles is unlikely to ever allow his younger brother to return as an active member of the British royal family. Disgraced by accusations of sexual assault against a minor, Prince Andrew now finds himself on the verge of financial ruin. Sources from the Daily Record claimed that Andrew confided in his circle about his dire financial situation. He fears complete financial collapse, one source said. He was prohibited from using public funds, and he couldn't cover the multimillion-pound expenses from his own pocket. To pay off Geoffrey, Andrew decided to sell his Swiss ski chalet, Henora, which featured 7 bedrooms, an indoor pool, and a sauna. However, his property was seized and frozen. When Charles ascended the throne, the situation worsened further. The elder brother demanded that Andrew vacate Royal Lodge, revoked his office at Buckingham Palace, and dismissed his staff. What happened to his collection of teddy bears remains unclear, but the outlook seems grim. The king has made everything very clear. A source told The Sun, Andrew is no longer a working member of the royal family. He's on his own now. The Queen's son has retained only the title of Duke, as the process of stripping it is quite complicated, and his rank of Vice Admiral, which he received after 22 years of service in the Royal Navy and participation in the Falklands War. In theory, the prince also still holds the right to inherit the British throne, as he remains 9th in the line of succession. However, the likelihood of such a scenario is exceedingly low. Members of the British royal family have never faced trial outside the kingdom or been accused of committing serious crimes of this nature. Experts unanimously agree that, at this point, any scenario is bad for the prince, who has no choice but to pick the option that best preserves the royal family's reputation, even at the expense of himself. Prince Andrew has become an outcast, but how was Prince William involved in this story? Sources claim he didn't spare his uncle either. According to insiders, Prince William was the one who most strongly advocated for Andrew to be stripped of his royal title. It is said that, at one point, William gave Queen Elizabeth an ultimatum. Either Prince Andrew would appear at the Garter Day ceremony, or he would. Garter Day is one of the most colorful events on the royal calendar. During the service, Windsor family members who are Knights of the Order of the Garter appear in special ceremonial attire, including robes, feathered hats, and other historic elements. The Order of the Garter is one of the oldest orders in England. Today, Knights are selected from various social backgrounds, primarily in recognition of their contributions to society. The ceremony honoring the Order of the Garter attracted media attention not only because of the public appearance of royal family members, but also due to the alleged conflict between Princes Andrew, Charles, and William. The program for the event included not only the names of Prince Charles and Princess, but also that of their disgraced brother, another Knight of the Order. However, Prince Andrew did not appear in public that day. A source told the Mirror, the Duke of Cambridge was adamant. If the Duke of York insisted on a public appearance, William would refuse to attend. Some reports claim that Prince Charles supported his son's initiative and communicated this to the Queen. Buckingham Palace did not comment on the rumors. According to a palace statement, Andrew did attend the investiture and luncheon, but he was forced to skip the service and procession. This means that during the induction of new Knights of the Order, which that year included the Duchess of Cornwall and Tony Blair, the Duke of York was with Her Majesty. The Queen herself was also absent from the service and procession due to mobility issues. William is becoming increasingly involved in decisions about the monarchy's future. He is absolutely not a fan of his uncle, Prince Andrew, wrote the Daily Mail, citing a palace insider. At the coronation of his elder brother, King Charles III, Prince Andrew, like his nephew Prince Harry, attended as a spectator since he is no longer an official working member of the royal family. He was not part of the ceremonial procession in the gilded carriage that carried the new king and queen back to the palace after the ceremony, nor did he step onto the palace balcony for the traditional photos. The former queen's favorite and Falklands war hero now rarely leaves home and tries to drown his negative emotions in food. According to those close to him, it's not going very well. The Sun reported that Andrew turned to comfort eating when he faced the threat of eviction from the Royal Lodge residence. Charles wanted to give the property to his elder son, Prince William. Andrew resisted the move, became deeply upset, and started overeating, rapidly gaining weight. What else does he have to do with his time? He rides horses, plays a little golf, but mostly, as they say, he stays at home watching TV. I think he just finds comfort in food, wrote royal biographer Margaret Holder. At the beginning of 2024, the prince attempted to lose weight and even went on a diet. However, this didn't last long, as dieting put him in a bad mood. As a result, he now weighs approximately 210 pounds. King Charles III allowed Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson to temporarily return to Royal Lodge amid Sarah's illness. The Duke of York's ex-wife underwent breast surgery. Plans to move them into Harry and Meghan's former home, Frogmore Cottage, were put on hold. According to Buckingham Palace, the news about Sarah came just days after King Charles III was reportedly scheduled to go to the hospital himself. A friend of Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie's mother spoke about her condition. According to the friend, the situation was a shock to those close to her. Honestly, it all happened very quickly. But Sarah is in good hands and is determined to spread the message about the importance of regular checkups. Given her experience, the friend told the Daily Mail. After the surgery, Ferguson thanked the entire hospital staff and the doctor who had detected the early signs of the illness in time. Prince William reportedly reacted coolly to the news of Sarah's illness. Relations between them have been far from smooth. Journalist Catherine claims that the tension between the prince and the Duchess of York first arose after the release of her memoir in 1996, a year before the tragic death of William's mother, Princess Diana. Diana and Sarah had always been friends, but they fell out over the memoir. Diana objected to certain details included by the Duchess. When Ferguson refused to compromise, Diana chose to cut her out of her life. Around the same time, William's relationship with Ferguson's daughters, Princesses Eugenie and Beatrice, also became strained. However, unlike Sarah, they were invited to the wedding of the Cambridges. William, who controlled the guest list, humiliated her, Sarah, and it was a bit short-sighted. Ulster commented in an interview published by the Daily Mail. Sarah's relationships with other members of the British royal family also left much to be desired. According to palace sources, Prince Charles at the time couldn't even stand hearing her name mentioned. I didn't think I deserved an invitation to their wedding. In fact, I flew to Thailand to get away from it all and recover my strength. The Duchess of York told Town and Country. It is believed that Sarah was denied an invitation because shortly before the wedding, she had promised a News of the World reporter access to Prince Andrew for $700,000. At their first meeting, she demanded $40,000 up front. What Sarah didn't realize was that she had been set up. The businessman turned out to be a News of the World reporter who secretly recorded their conversation. The reporter's goal was to expose the Duchess, and he succeeded. Initially, Sarah dismissed the claims, saying her detractors had manipulated the recording. However, surveillance footage later leaked online. Left with no better excuse, Ferguson claimed she had been drunk. Later, Sarah insisted that Andrew knew nothing about her financial schemes. According to the prince's ex-wife, she had no intention of implicating him or tarnishing his name, as she still felt very warmly toward him. However, most Buckingham Palace residents didn't share her view. Since then, Ferguson's relationship with the royal family has improved, and in 2018, she attended the wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. It was very kind of them, and I can't stop thanking them because it was incredibly nerve-wracking, the Duchess admitted after the wedding. Fergie declined to comment on Megxit in interviews, but noted that Princess Diana would have been very proud of her sons and grandchildren. She also revealed that she had offered to help the creators of The Crown with the portrayal of her character, but they chose not to take her up on the offer. The former wife of Prince Andrew and close friend of the late Princess Diana sent warm wishes to Kate after the Princess of Wales revealed her cancer diagnosis. The Duchess of York knows firsthand about the devastating illness, as she herself is undergoing treatment. All my thoughts and prayers are with the Princess of Wales as she begins her treatment. I know she will be surrounded by the love of her family, and everyone is praying for the best possible outcome, Sarah said. Ferguson praised Prince William's wife for her courage in making such a public revelation, despite the immense societal pressure and the natural desire to keep her medical history private. As someone who has been battling cancer myself in recent months, I deeply admire how Kate publicly shared her diagnosis. I know it will do a great deal to raise awareness. I hope she is now given the time and space to recover in peace, the former royal added. Naturally, many were quick to point out the cruel fate that seems to haunt the British royal family. Sarah Ferguson also appeared on Good Morning Britain, where the Duchess of York spoke about how the late Princess Diana would feel about her son's wives, Kate and Meghan. She would have been incredibly proud of them. Diana would probably think, "I can't believe how well these boys are doing. I miss her. No one has ever made me laugh as much as she did." I'm sure she would want to hug Kate and Meghan and tell them, "It's all going to be okay." In her interview, Sarah also reflected on aging and shared advice she gives to her daughters. "I often tell my girls, I've been through it all and made mistakes, but now they know what not to do, and that's really wonderful. I advise my daughters to be themselves. Keep doing what your heart tells you, and be honest, kind, and polite to everyone. Remember the name of the person who holds the car door open for you." The former wife of Prince Andrew, the Duchess of York, has recently been dedicating more of her time to charity. This year, she became a patron of the Charity Street Child, which helps children in Afghanistan, Rwanda, Sierra Leone, and other countries. Fergie launched a new campaign called Count Me In, encouraging donations to fund education, teacher salaries, and school materials. "This work saved my life. It helped me stay grateful, grounded, and gave me purpose during difficult times. As my grandmother always said, when you're feeling down, go do something for someone else." Sarah also admitted that when she attended Harry and Meghan's wedding and heard someone in the crowd shout, "Fergie," she was moved to tears. And what about Prince Andrew? Officially, his only source of income now is his naval pension, which amounts to around £20,000 per year. Reports suggest that Andrew not only managed to fund the upkeep of his home but also hired private security, which his crown brother had previously taken away. Andrew received financial help from his daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, who have been actively working in the Middle East. For example, Princess Beatrice attended the ADIPEC Energy Conference in Abu Dhabi on the 4th of November, where she delivered a speech on artificial intelligence. Beatrice, who serves as vice president of the tech company Affinity, was also in Saudi Arabia last month as part of the Future Investment Initiative. The event was described by Reuters as an opportunity for participants to build relationships with some of Saudi Arabia's largest companies and its $925 billion sovereign wealth fund. Princess Beatrice also attended a private conference organized by the UAE's Minister of Industry, Dr. Sultan Ahmed Al Jaber, a day before her speech at the ADIPEC Energy Conference. She was seen at the event alongside the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, who is also the president of the UAE. The Al Nahyan royal family is one of the wealthiest monarchies in the world and is believed to own property in London worth billions of pounds sterling. Reporters were not allowed to attend the meeting, which included executives from Shell and EDF, Microsoft's vice president, and former Bank of England Governor Mark Carney, who now serves as the United Nations Special Envoy on Climate Action. American journalist Hadley Gamble, who interviewed Princess Beatrice at the ADIPEC conference, shared her thoughts. There was a general sense that Beatrice was acting as an unofficial ambassador for the United Kingdom. Beatrice was, quite literally, in a very exclusive circle at the gathering of global energy company executives, top financiers, and politicians. From this, the media concluded that the York sisters had been hard at work behind the scenes to secure funds for their father's living expenses. I travel a lot, and I've always been able to feel at home wherever I am. If I stay in a hotel, I surround myself with the same family photos and scented candles. When I'm in the United Kingdom, I'm fortunate enough to stay at Royal Lodge. I wouldn't call it my home because that would be presumptuous, Beatrice said. The unusual relationship between Andrew and his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson has often led them to deny rumors of a romantic reconciliation. We're the happiest divorced couple in the world. We're divorced officially, but not from each other, Sarah once said. More than 80% of survey respondents labeled Prince Andrew as the most unpopular and disliked member of the royal family. An overwhelming majority believe that the Queen's middle son should be excluded from the royal family altogether. The British public largely agrees that King Charles and Prince William were right to ensure that Andrew is never allowed to return to royal duties. To restore his reputation, Prince Andrew has reportedly decided to write a memoir. Friends of the prince, who is facing the loss of both his home and financial support, are reportedly trying to dissuade him from the idea, much to his frustration. Everyone close to him is telling him that it's a terrible idea and that he should just forget about it, sources said. Nevertheless, 2 major publishing houses have already expressed interest in the book, regardless of what version of the autobiography emerges. Compared to Prince Harry, Andrew has a much deeper and more complex story to tell. Writing a book would allow him to fully explain his connection to Jeffrey Epstein. It would also provide a fascinating insight into the inner workings of the royal family and their relationships, insiders claim. However, his efforts in charity work, lifestyle changes, and other attempts to rehabilitate his image have so far failed to produce the desired results. Andrew remains overshadowed by the scandals of his youth and middle age. This has gone so far that, when preparations were being made in England to film the 5th season of the royal family drama The Crown, the project was reportedly put on hold because no actor wanted to portray a figure involved in such high-profile controversies. The royal family has often shown that behind the glitter of titles and luxury lie deep cracks. Will Charles be willing to sever ties with his brother once and for all to protect the monarchy? Will William, when he becomes king, be able to forgive Andrew? Or will this conflict become a burden for future generations? Share your opinion in the comments. Whose side are you on? Don't forget to like this post if you're interested in the secrets of the royal family, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on all the latest scandals and revelations. Things are only going to get hotter from here.